So for those of you listening, maybe you're stuck in the same pattern. You are burnt out, you go on vacation, you come back, you feel like you're ready to go again. And then that feeling of being burnt out happens again. And maybe you do cold plunges, meditation, breath work, and you do all the things to kind of calm yourself. But you keep on recreating the same stress. So I actually have someone who's going to help you with that today. And as a busy business owner, you need to listen to this podcast. So we have Chris Walker. He is the founder of Encoded, and he's here to talk about something pretty uncomfortable, that our nervous system capacity and our frequency actually set the limit for the life that we can actually sustain. And so welcome, Chris. Thank you for being here.
Leslie, pumped to be here. A topic that means a lot to me as somebody who was scaling my, at the time, 8-figure business and experienced what I think we'll get into as a lot of what I view as symptoms. I don't think that people view experiencing stress and burnout and anxiety, imposter syndrome, overthinking, second guessing, looking for other people to tell them what they should do, and a variety of other things, and to reframe it as a symptom rather than, this is just who I am, or this is just how life is, or this is just how it goes. It's like in our physical health that if we have shortness of breath, or we're overweight, or we experience a symptom like that, we realize, oh, it's because I need to train. It's because I need to focus on my nutrition. And at Encoded, we basically asked a simple question. We asked the question of, if we can train our body, why wouldn't we be able to train our nervous system? And I think that's a big switch for people, because I wanted to go to mind, right? But it starts in our autonomic nervous system that happens automatically and then gets expressed through our mind and our behavior. So without getting too deep into it, I'll let you drive, and I'm excited to do this.
No, I think that's so cool. I mean, sometimes when I think about the nervous system, I go back to, that first nervous system type of diagram they were able to make by taking all the nerves out of the human body and then putting on the big plaque. It was what, the 1800s or 1900s they did that? Early 1900s? I don't remember. But it's just I think about that sometimes. And it's those nerves run through everything in our bodies, from the brain to the stem all the way down. And everyone who's listening is doctors and nurses, so they know all of this. I don't, but it's just I always thought that's so fascinating. And, for you, it's you've kind of really described the success game, and you really, you learned, you were grinding and everything. And you went from $3,000 in the bank and $62,000 in debt to over a $20 million exit, but you were still feeling all this stress. So can you talk about what that climb really cost you, and then talk about the writing practice and what you started to do that changed everything?
So I think that the statements I'm about to make, I think that many people would agree, which is that I need to suffer to be successful. I need to work hard and sacrifice maybe my health, maybe my family, maybe I can't go on vacation. I need to sacrifice these things in order to achieve quote unquote success. If I'm not moving forward and working hard, then I'm going to fall behind. And so what all of these are they are not facts about how the world works. They're subconscious programs. They're things that we have been taught. And as we get taught them and experience them, we assume that it's a fact. And when we assume that it's a fact, we actually act in that way. And so what happened for me is that I was conditioned to believe those things, like a majority of humans today. And when you are conditioned to believe those things, that's how your life goes. And so I was hustling. I was working 7 days a week. I was burning out. I was stressed. I did get anxious. And while I was building my business, and I just thought, this is the way it is. My job is stressful. I'm just going to get anxious sometimes. This is the cost of ambition, and this is just who I am. I'm just going to have to figure out how to deal with it. And so I will, every 6 weeks, I'll go on vacation because I'm so burnt out to recover. And then I'll come back to 1,000 emails and a bunch of people relying on me and a million meetings. And within 3 or 4 days, the relaxation of the vacation is gone and I'm back on this hamster wheel. And so once I started to spin around in this cycle enough times, I started to realize that I'm on a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
I'm going nowhere. And at some point in our lives, it doesn't have to be that you've reached some level of success or something like that. But at some point in our lives, we start to separate and realize that just how successful we are doesn't change how we feel all the time.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when I started to separate that, I was like, whoa, I'm getting more successful, but it's not what I thought it was going to be. I actually feel worse.
Wow.
And so at that point, I started to look deeper. I started
Mhm.
to because up until that point, in a variety of people, the first phase of this is to figure out how to run faster on the hamster wheel. Right. So
Yes.
you get productivity systems, you take a vacation to recover, maybe you take up a meditation routine, some of the things that you mentioned at the beginning. And so all it is how do I run on this hamster wheel faster?
Mhm, mhm.
And then eventually it's like I don't want to run on this hamster wheel like this anymore, right?
Yeah.
And when we start to make that recognition, then it leads us to, oh, like these are the rules of my life that I've been playing by.
Yeah.
And to
Yeah.
separate and to say, okay, now I'm going to think about what are the rules of the life that I want to live.
I
So
think that's a key.
that was the
Yeah.
beginning of the process that I went through starting in 2021. So I took up these routines that I have. I'm sure we'll get deeper into them. And then in 2025, I looked back and I was like, whoa, I'm in top 1% shape. I got an EEG, several of them in Costa Rica, and the people were like, I've tested 1,000 people and I've never seen anything like this. Your EEG is off the charts, right?
Wow.
My VO2 max, cortisol levels, heart rate variability. So my biometrics are just insane. From an
Mhm.
emotional standpoint, I never feel anxiety. I never feel imposter syndrome. So from a
Mhm.
health and a mental wellness standpoint, I view myself as top 0.1%, 0.1%.
Mhm.
And financially, I've built 3 companies. I
Yes.
sold one. I have another one that's doing great, running on its own, installed a leadership team.
Yeah,
From a
Pasano.
from a time
Yeah.
perspective, I have full autonomy. I've taken full autonomy over my time. People think it's
Mhm.
funny. They're like, "Hey, do you have a calendar link?" I'm like, "Yo, I don't use a calendar link here." Like my schedule is pretty clear besides making content, helping our clients, running our business, but I have
Yeah.
totally redesigned my life to
Mhm.
maximize what I view now as productivity, which is the
Mhm.
maximum output for the minimum inputs. And so I've
Yeah.
totally redesigned my life around that, which is not
Mhm.
about grinding 80 hours a week. And so all of these elements, when I look back, I was like, whoa, I thought I was just like doing a journaling routine to achieve my goals, but there is way, way more to this. And
Yeah.
so then I went on an endeavor for the past year to try to figure out how to explain this. And so
Yeah.
I ended up writing a book called The Frequency Era. Through that process, I did tons
Nice.
of research there's been decades, maybe up to 50 years of scientific research around these topics in psychology,
Mhm.
cognitive science, performance research, nervous system research,
Mhm.
a variety of topics. And I think one of my superpowers is to connect dots that people haven't connected before,
Mhm.
and to be able to enter a new space and look at it with a fresh lens and say, like, if we pointed this in a different direction, we looked at it in a different way, how could we change it? And I think that's what we're doing at Encoded. We call it
Mhm.
neuro-performance training, and it takes all of the same principles of elite performance training for athletes.
Mhm.
It's repetitive, it is progressive, it is structured, it is measurable, taking all of those key elements and transferring it to our nervous system. And that is really powerful. And the big unlock, I think, for people listening to this podcast is that all of the things that matter in the future do not happen in your brain. They happen in your nervous system. And
Mhm.
that is the big switch here. Mental clarity, autonomy,
Mhm.
adaptability, creativity, vision, all of those elements, the conditions for you to express those capabilities start in your nervous system. And then once they're there, you have all this power and your brain uses the power. And so I think up
Mhm.
to this point, people have been focused on, I would just give me more information and learn more. And that was a really reliable strategy before AI. But the game is changing.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure we'll get deeper into it, but that's sort of my perspective on how I got here. I'm so fired up about it because I truly believe this is the next frontier of human potential.
Yeah.
That like, imagine in 1950 telling a factory worker that they could do the things that we can do.
No, they would
They
never believe it. They'd be like,
But
"What are
they
you
could
talking about?"
have, right?
Yeah.
They had the capacity to do it. The economy didn't force them to develop them, and the
Mm.
tools weren't there. And so what
Yeah.
I'm telling, like, it's like the knowledge worker, the office worker of 2026 is like the factory worker of 1950. And I'm telling them, whoa, there's all of these incredible things that you didn't know that you can do, that you can. That in 10, 20, 30 years, it will be normal that humans do all of these things. And so I think that is so amazing and cool.
Yeah, and with that, it's just like, so you had your own journey with that, and I know something that you often talk about, and I see you talk about it, is like, the cup, right? And you talk about, your nervous system is a cup, and it has like a certain capacity, and what we need to do is work on increasing the size of the cup. So it's just like, in a practical way, what is the first thing that someone can do to increase the cup? 'Cause I know that you have, because, I believe the same thing as far as like, everything starts from identity. I'm a big Joe Dispenza fan, and I have been for a very long time, or have you. So, and it's just like, makes you think about those things, because if you identify as something, you're going to take different actions, you're going to believe different things about yourself. So if we could talk a little bit more about that, about expanding your cup and how you can do that in a practical way.
Yeah. So let's some context setting, and then we'll get into that. And so imagine for a human that you are the most powerful supercomputer ever,
Yeah,
because you are.
we
Okay.
are. Yeah.
Our body, our nervous system is the hardware of the computer. You have all the chips, the processing, all this amazing, our brain, it's all this amazing stuff. What people don't realize is that we have an operating system that runs that supercomputer, known as our frequency.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so imagine that you have this incredibly powerful supercomputer, but it's running Windows 95. And then you're spending the time trying to install these, like, Claude, and run these agents and things like that on Windows 95. It's not going to work, right? And so that's
Hmm.
what people are doing with learning. It's like we're putting all these new apps on an operating system that isn't going to run properly.
Hmm.
And so the big switch here is thinking about, at the most fundamental level, to upgrade our operating system
Yeah.
so that our supercomputer, our nervous system, runs more effectively. And then once it runs more effectively, all of these new capabilities that we have get expressed, and we can use all this knowledge in a whole new way.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so that's the big switch. Whether you think about your nervous system as a cup or a muscle, both of them can work. And so it's like, imagine that, like, for me in 2019, okay, I barely had ever made a piece of content. I had never done a speech. I had never done a podcast, right?
Hmm.
And so I hadn't developed the muscle of thinking about myself that way, about
Yeah.
showing up that way. And so when I went to do it, it was basically like I'm lifting a weight that's heavier than something that I can carry,
Yeah.
right? And so it feels hard. You feel internal friction. Maybe you procrastinate. You have imposter syndrome. You think about it, but you're just like, oh, I'm not ready yet. I'll do that. I'll do
Hmm.
that later. And so the process of what we're doing at Encoded is building our muscle inside of us so that it's easier to show up that way. So
Mm.
that's really what we're doing overall. Now,
Hmm.
the common misconception, or the best practices or wisdom, is not to train our muscle but to recover. So
Yes.
and so it's like, we can't lift 10 pounds. We try and we feel stressed and anxious, and then we go on a vacation to take a break, and then we come back and we have to lift the same 10 pounds, and we can't. So we feel the
Yeah.
symptoms again. So then we
Hmm.
pick up a meditation routine to feel
Hmm.
more calm. And then we go
Hmm.
back to lift it again, and we can't do it. And
Oof.
we're in this never ending cycle. And it's like, if you don't get stronger by using a foam roller. You get
No.
stronger by training, right? And so we have
Hmm.
all these very obvious
Yeah.
mental models and physical health and strength that are not applied to our professional career, our life, our satisfaction, and our nervous
Hmm.
system. And so the big switch here is, yes, recovery matters, right? I'm about
Hmm.
to take a nice vacation in Europe, right? We talked about it before we got here, but I'm not taking the vacation to recover anymore. I don't
No.
need I
Yeah,
don't
it's
so
part of your
now
life.
I take it to be creative, to have ideas, to have experiences,
Hmm.
and so the whole frame. And even I meditate a couple times a month, or whatever my form of meditation. I don't know if like the pros would consider it, but it works for me. And I do it twice a month, but I'm not doing it to calm down. I'm not
Yeah.
doing it to get rid of symptoms. I'm doing it to be creative, to think expansively, and it really works for me. And so when we build this level of strength in our nervous system,
Hmm.
the recovery tools and why we use them, like vacations and all that other type of stuff, we get a lot more out of them
Yeah.
because we're using them for a different purpose. And so it's like thinking about this whole idea in a different way.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. I mean, because even like things like, going to the art museum or going to see the arts or doing those types of things, and it's like fueling your creative juices. It's like a different thing instead of saying, "Oh my goodness, work was so stressful. Now I'm gonna go listen to some jazz music." It's like it's completely different when you're using that to fuel your inner self, your inner identity. And like talking about identity, I know that I read one of the studies that your work is based off of, and they were talking about graduation rates of students and their ideal self when they had well, okay, so basically it was identity based motivation and also believing that someone like them could actually accomplish that. And so their graduation rates in that control group, from like the visualization, I think it said what, 45% to 75% graduation rate, after they changed their, you know, identity, you
Mm-hmm.
know, what they thought was possible for themselves. Right. So, and it's like, so how much of that? So, because I know there's identity, right? Because you talk about this, there's beliefs, there's emotions, and then there's intention. So, can we talk a little bit about the future self? Because everything we are in right now is from the past version of us. It's from some sort of like operating system, like you said. So let's talk about that a little bit more. The future self, the identity based motivation, and someone thinking is actually possible for them, and what do they need to see in order to get through the downs when things are tough.
For sure. Yeah. So our current working model of the definition of your frequency, as in the automatic operating system that runs on your nervous system,
Hmm.
is identity, beliefs, and intentions.
Yeah.
So identity is who you believe you are
Yeah.
automatically, right? So it's not how you would describe yourself at a cocktail party so that other people think you're impressive.
Yeah.
It's deep down who you really believe you are.
Yeah.
And I do this exercise a lot, which is just basically like you get 30 seconds to describe exactly who you are. Go.
Mm.
How specific is it? How detailed is it? And does it match exactly who you want to be? And the answer for 99% of people is no. It's
Yeah.
not clear. It's not specific. I'm kind of doing this thing. Like, yeah. And what that demonstrates is that there's no clarity and stability in your internal self model.
Mm.
And when there isn't clarity and stability in your internal self model, it shows up in our emotions, behavior, and actions.
Hmm. Hmm.
It shows up in procrastination, inconsistency, second guessing,
Hmm.
imposter syndrome, other things like that, because our mind does not have a reference point to say, is this something that I can do? Is this something that someone like me does?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that it's like, to me, it's just so simple and pragmatic. And so at an identity level, that's what it is. It's been demonstrated for probably 50 years through science that people act in alignment with their internal self model.
Yeah.
And something that does not match their internal self model, it will feel hard and they will give up.
Mm.
And if it does match, then they will persist. And it's very, very clear. At a belief level, beliefs are the translators.
Hmm.
They translate our entire experience and tell us what it means to us. So for instance, two CEOs. and they have a bad month, right? So
Mhm.
their month is down by 10%. It is not a fact that the down 10% month is a bad thing, right? Maybe they had
Mhm.
that, they had some deals coming through, and now they're going to crush it in the next month and they're going to make up for it. Or maybe they're iterating on their product or something like that. So the automatic interpretation that our revenue went down, so that's bad, so I'm going to feel sad and I'm not good enough, and now we need to work harder and blow up our plan and all that stuff, it's an automatic
Mhm.
interpretation that isn't real. Right?
Yeah.
Somebody else could easily say, this is, everything is working out. This is part of our plan. We're moving in the right direction. We're making an impact for customers, and have an
Mhm.
entirely different experience of the same thing. And that is just
Mhm.
one example of a million of how our beliefs drive our emotions and actions.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then we have our intentions, which is the underlying driver of our behavior. And based on how a majority of people in our generations, specifically millennials and Gen Z, and probably the one before that, is that Gen X?
Yeah, it's Gen X.
Based on the conditioning that we've received, a majority of people's underlying intentions, even if they say that they're trying to do something for the right reason, is to prove or impress people, to
Mhm.
avoid failure, and to accumulate resources. And
Mm.
so, and when we have those types of intentions, we're like an energy vampire. Like, we need other people to approve of us. We like need to get
Mhm.
stuff from people. We need their approval. We need their
Mm.
money. We need this stuff. And if we don't get it, then we
Mm.
feel bad inside because we
Yeah.
need this stuff from people. Those three things are running automatically inside of us. The major innovation at Encoded is that those three things and the change in those things can be measured biometrically in our nervous system with measurements that have been used all the time. You can
Mhm.
measure this in your sleep quality, the amount of deep sleep, your onset to sleep, heart rate variability, EEG measurements in your brain waves, resting heart rate, cortisol. There is a variety of measurements that have been used in medicine that can measure when we change our identity,
Mhm.
these things are shifting. And so we've already seen that, and now we're taking it to a deeper level to be able to truly get a deep measurement of what's happening.
Mhm.
So boom, all that stuff happens automatically. You
Yeah.
experience your life, it filters through all those three lenses, your nervous system, all these different things are being automatically set in your body. Then you
Mhm.
feel, think, do.
Yeah, I love that. It's so funny. I have it on my phone. Be do have or have you. That's like a Jim Rohn saying for back in the day, rest in peace. But I really believe that. And in another paper, research paper, seeing the destination and the path that you base your not your software, your system on is basically it shows when people vividly see and emotionally, yeah, and that's the part, guys. Listen to that. When you see and you emotionally feel that full version of your future self and believe that there's a path to get there, your motivation and your outcomes improve dramatically, right? And I
So
know
check
that.
this out.
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually totally disagree with this take.
Really, that's on your from your website. We could edit
Mm,
this in a minute if we
no,
need.
I don't think we need to edit it. Maybe it just needs some clarity because,
Yeah, provide some clarity
um,
because this came from the 100 research papers that are on your website to support Encoded.
yeah. So I think it's clarity, not change. And so what the conventional wisdom is that I just
Mhm.
need to feel good and then everything will work out. And what it drives us to do is to manufacture our emotions,
Mhm.
to try to feel happy, to try to feel joy, right?
Mhm.
And so what we're actually doing is changing the software so that our emotional baseline changes forever.
Yes.
We're not trying to feel happy. We're not trying to feel
Mhm.
regulated. It happens automatically. And so I think that is a huge distinction because our emotions are an effect of our frequency expressed through our nervous system. It's not the
Mhm.
cause.
It's not. And however, though, in that research, 'cause I read the research that was on your page too.
Hmm.
support why you started Encoded.
Yeah.
That research is that when people vividly see and emotionally feel. So, because it's scientifically been proven that when you imagine a certain future for yourself or have you, and so I know like Joe Dispenza says like things like, okay, before you fall asleep, for example, imagine your ideal day or how you want things to go, or and he has a whole thing. His is kind of whatever. Anyways, I don't really believe
Yeah.
in certain things, but in any case, but if you constantly play those tapes in your brain about your ideal self, your brain can't distinguish between the lie and what's actually true. The basic thing is that, your brain can't distinguish scientifically between what's true and what's not true. So that's why people who are delusional or whatever, like look at Kanye, for example. He was always like, I'm the best in the world. Da, 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 da. His identity was that I am the king of everything and whatever. And he amassed whatever resources and he's not whatever. No matter what
Hmm.
people think about him, he had a certain identity and belief about himself. Imagine he grew up in the hood. Imagine what he was imagining about himself, grandiose thoughts from even when he was a little kid. So, like, there is some connection there between visualization and who you kind of end up being in the future. Even though he's not great, he's
Maybe.
not 100, but.
Maybe like from a neuroscience perspective, this
Mhm,
doesn't it sounds cool. A lot of people
mhm.
promote it, but it doesn't make sense from a neuroscience perspective. And so, in order to create structural changes in our brain, it requires ongoing repeated repetition.
And that's what I'm saying. But can't it? I'm just playing devil's advocate here because this is
Please.
a paper, but can't it be repetitive thought that you have about yourself? Because you see, like, because I know some people believe in meditation, right? And obviously, when you imagine certain things in your brain, it changes what you do. So, for example, in the Bible, they say, when you commit adultery, it's not just the act of doing something. Guys, don't take, I don't know why I do that. But anyways, it's not just the act of doing something. You can commit adultery in your heart. If you start thinking about doing some nefarious stuff, it starts reprogramming your mind to thinking, oh, this might be okay. What if? And then when the opportunity shows up, guess what? Because you were thinking about nonsense in your brain, then you commit adultery. And then if you continue doing that, that becomes who you are. And so it starts, and that's an
or
identity
were
thing.
were you that the whole time?
Mm. I,
And so
I don't know. I think what
this is the distinction. Your thought is an effect.
an
And
effect.
so
But
like
whatever
if
you
you
ponder, whatever you
it's
think about
true.
over and over.
It's already there in your subconscious mind. It
But what
already
if it
exists.
wasn't? But what
It
if it
was.
wasn't?
In
But what if it
order to
wasn't?
have a thought, you have to believe something about I'm not good enough, adultery is okay, I need this in order to feel okay. There's something
Mhm,
deep down there that's creating the thought. And so it's like if you think about it, that's who you are.
mhm,
It's not the thought is exposing what it is. It's not driving the effect, if that makes sense. And so, yes, what happens is that this is how we've been programmed.
mhm,
And most people do not even realize that it's happening, do not realize that the programming isn't them. And so it just
mhm,
runs, right? And then we feel something, maybe we feel uncomfortable, maybe we feel not good enough, maybe we feel whatever. Then we think, oh, maybe I should go and see that other person and that'd make me feel better. And then eventually we behave that way. And all of
mhm.
those things are simply an expression of our frequency.
Yeah, and I see
And
what you're
so
coming see where you're coming from. I just do think, like, especially in this age when people are attached to their cell phones all the time and, like, they're watching television shows that might have, certain themes and things,
those
they're
are programming.
programming themselves
That is programming.
subconsciously, and that's what I'm talking about
Indeed.
pondering. They say, whatever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, think on these things. Sorry, my theological background comes out and it starts doing nonsense and I can't help it. But, but it's just like that's what happens. So if you ponder certain things all the time, it does start changing your programming. And then you start doing nonsense because when you're born, you're nothing. You're flat.
Indeed.
Kind of. I mean, of course, like there's certain things that come from your mom's nervous system or whatever, but certain things start coming in. And
Yeah.
then whatever you allow as you grow up, and whatever people allow around you starts programming who you are. It's so weird. Anyways,
It's
but
true.
anyways.
And so in when I grew up, right,
Mm-hmm.
the way you got programmed was through school, your
School.
family, MTV,
Yeah.
like TV and commercials,
Yeah.
girls magazines. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
even men magazines too. It doesn't matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the form of programming, and it was much more
Yes.
controlled. And
Yes.
so the only thing that's changed now is that social media, you get more programming. It's
Oof.
more personalized, and it delivers it in a much faster way. And so people,
Yeah.
it's not like it's not like you grow up and then once you're 13, you're programmed and then you just live that way. You're
Yeah.
ongoing programming yourself.
Going. Yeah.
And it's just the only difference is whether you want to do it yourself for the life that you want to live or you want other
Mhm.
people to do it for you unconsciously. That's the only difference.
Exactly. And that
Yes.
and for the listeners out there, you guys, because I my big thing, I always say, be intentional, right? And is being intentional with what you're programming yourself with. Like, don't watch certain things, don't go certain places, don't talk to certain people, cut people out if you need to, whatever, because you have to. And people think it's cool sometimes to like do this stuff and be very strict with self or have you, or not strict. I don't even know what you call it. What would you call it? But they think it's like bad.
Self-respect.
Yeah, respect. They're like, oh my goodness, you know that person for 10 years and now you just like cut them off. It's like, yeah, because they don't fit the identity of, they don't reinforce the identity of who I am, right? And people think it's cruel. I think
It's
in this.
not. They're infecting you.
Oh, can we talk about that? Let's talk about the infection that happens with the programming that you do. Because, and like you said, with cell phones, like I have Opal on my phone, right? And so, like, Opal, I have to use because I'm crazy. So it's just like Opal, I cut off all social media for like 10 hours a day, unless I'm doing things for LinkedIn. I do it on my computer. I'm like, okay, work, whatever. But I cut off because it's like a bunch of stuff that's coming to your brain. So, talk about of infection, because I know I love this other paper that I read one time. That's nothing to do with you, but Goldman studies. He talks about emotional contagion.
Yeah, it's actually it's nervous system contagion, but yeah, it's true because
Yeah.
it shows up in your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors, and your life outcomes. It's like
Yeah.
people say you're the collection of the 5 people you spend your most time with. So why is that? It's
Mm-mm.
because you are being infected with the frequency of the people around you,
Yes. Yes. Whew.
and so it's like. Over time, people will
Mhm.
realize this for what some people already do. They're like, these people that are negative, I don't want them in my life, right?
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
some people already sort of recognize this. But
Yeah.
in reality, it's like this person has the flu, has a virus that
That's so deep.
and spending time and the most prevalent place for people today is a toxic work environment.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, so it's like, would you go into work if all of these people were sneezing and coughing and sick and you wouldn't do that. Before we have awareness to it, we're
Mhm.
basically most of the time we hang around with other sick people and we're sick ourselves, to be
Yeah.
frank about it.
Yeah.
What truly happens is that our frequency is contagious. We can inherit the identity, beliefs, and intentions of the people around us. If
Mhm.
people around us are all about competition, we need to beat everyone. Everyone needs to lose in order for us to win.
Yeah.
It's
No
like
Sunday
over
game.
time, that's going to be you. If
Yeah.
subconsciously everyone thinks I need to hit the next revenue target and I need to achieve and I need to keep going in order to feel okay about myself, that'll be you. If
Yeah.
everybody else is like, I just need to accumulate money and resources and prove to people and get all this stuff,
Mhm.
spend enough time in that work environment, you'll be like that too. And spend over time, you'll see that everybody in that work environment operates in the same way.
Yeah.
And because of that, their nervous systems operate in the same way. And
Ooh.
because of that, they feel, think, and behave in the same way.
Ooh.
And and
Yeah.
it's already shown. It's like divorce married women that spend time with divorced women get divorced 3x more.
Wow.
Who would have thought? Right?
No
People that
church
spend time with
today.
people who do drugs end up doing drugs more. Who would have thought?
Who
And
would have
so it's
thought?
like all this stuff is already obvious. It's just
Mhm.
taking it to a different level
Yeah.
of life performance. It
Yeah.
also, it's not just drug addicts on the side of the road. It's in our
Nope.
work environment. It's
Yeah.
in the places we hang out, the bars we go to, the stuff that we do.
Mhm.
It's everywhere. And so I think that helping people to become aware of this,
Yes.
and this is not like everybody sucks and
Yeah.
we're great. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying everybody's amazing, and hopefully
Yeah.
if you could acknowledge this, you can express more of your amazingness,
And
right?
that's a big abundance, right? And I want to ask you about that too. So the toxic work environment, right? And as like people, because it comes from, and so our listeners are entrepreneurs or entrepreneur hopefuls, right? In the medical aesthetic space. So let's talk about what type of person and what type of frequency do you need to be operating from so that you could be the proper hub of nervous system infection for the people that you're eventually going to recruit to your teams? Because it is very true that like attracts like. And so I know I have clients and I've met with people who are like, okay, my team sucks, this and that, da 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 da. And I'm like, baby girl, have you looked at yourself lately? You know, because it all stems from the top. If the head is
Mhm.
infected, it infects everything else. So can we talk a little bit more about the ownership of nervous system regulation that leaders in business or leaders hopeful need to
Mhm.
take?
Yeah, and the amazing thing is that like we can quote unquote infect, for lack of a better way to say it, empowering things to other people,
Yes,
amazing things, more potential with them themselves, and raise them up. So it's
yeah,
not like you can. It's not just that this bad infect is sort of like a bad word, but we can do it in the other direction too, and
yeah.
empower people, which is really
Mhm.
cool. And so it's like the as an entrepreneur, your business is a mirror reflection of you.
Mm. Yep.
If you feel chaos inside, your business will be chaotic. If you feel like you need to achieve, everyone's going to be rushing around. If you're in a rush to impress people, so will everybody else.
Yeah.
And so to have that acknowledgement, which was a tough pill for me to swallow in 2021, 2022 timeframe, but it changed my life forever to actually be able to see that within my business and myself.
Mhm.
And so the number one thing that we can do as a business leader is to elevate our frequency. When we elevate our frequency, what happens? Everyone feels more calm. Everyone thinks more clearly.
Mhm.
Everyone makes better decisions.
Mhm.
Everyone feels less anxious. Everyone feels more empowered. Everyone feels more creative, more safe. It's a cascading effect on everyone in our business, whether we have 5 people on our team or 5,000.
Mhm.
It's a cascading effect that starts with the leader. And unfortunately, for companies that raise a lot of money, it starts with the cap table. And so it's
Mm.
like, from my perspective, if you raise a lot of money, you're really an employee of your
You
investors.
you are.
Sorry, but like that's how it is. In that situation, the frequency of the company is controlled by the investors,
Whew.
not the CEO.
That's another thing altogether because in our industry, it's like right now it's about 4 to 7% consolidated because it's a younger industry, right? And so that's happening now that people have sold their businesses to private equity or they partnered with growth partners around you, but their frequencies are completely different. But they're only seeing dollar signs, and then they're surprised when the person who is bringing the capital is only seeing dollar signs. It's like, yes, that's what you get because you weren't looking for value alignment before you entered into this relationship with this equity partner, right? Like if I'm going to be a slave to somebody, it better be someone who I'm okay with being a sub to. You know what I'm saying? Like not to go with you guys, but you know
Yeah.
what?
It's like, money and freedom are two different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like I want to get back to some of these things, but for for me, right? So to understand
Mm-hmm.
that uh, the definition of success is your choice.
Mm. Yeah.
It's like right now people tell you that it means money, power, fame.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I spent some time looking around at the people that I used to look up to 5 years ago, the people that had money, power, and fame,
Yeah.
divorced, see their kids every other week,
Yeah.
out of shape, in the hospital because they're stressed and burnt out, traveling 300 days a year on somebody else's time. Some of them are addicted to drugs. And I was like, this isn't success. This isn't success to me.
No.
And so for me, it's like in that situation of selling or partnering, whatever you want to do, selling a majority share to private equity or whatever it is, it's like, in order to make any decision, it must raise my freedom in all 10 categories. There's no compromises in my life anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Time, money, location, mental, physical, relationships, social, all across the board. If something is going to take away from one of those categories, it's a no for me. And I'm not in a place of privilege to do that. Any human in any stage of their life can do that.
Yes.
We all have the power to. And so it's like, think about, in order to just get in the game as an entrepreneur, you have to overcome a subconscious program that says working a 9 to 5 is safe and working for myself is risky.
Yeah.
Just to get in the game, right? And so if you are doing that, you can realize that you've already overcome one subconscious program.
Mm-hmm.
And then to realize that there are 50 plus other ones that are keeping you trapped in your current situation. What does beauty mean? What does success mean? Do I have to sacrifice to be successful? Should I buy a house? Alcohol is cool. Like, there's a variety of them. There's a variety of them that we've been told that that's the way it is. It doesn't have to be that way for us.
Yeah. And with that, and this kind of, so I know that there's a couple of different tiers that you say people go through when they're going through their identity shift. So tier 1, guys, and Chris is going to explain that, but tier 1 is default programming. And like you talk about, you don't even realize it. That's just what you're born with, what you program on a consistent basis. Tier 2 is breaking the illusion. And like, if you left your employer and you're working for yourself, you broke one illusion, right? But at that point, you might be like books, podcasts, feeling in between. You don't really know who you are. Tier 3, this is where Encoded comes in. My beliefs, emotions, actions, and energy shape my reality. And so for you, so as someone moves into like tier 4 and beyond, what changes in decisions come and how does reality respond? And how does someone break out of and continue to break out of tier 2, which is breaking illusions one after another?
Yeah. In tier 1,
Mm-hmm.
you believe the world works however you've been told it works. Inside of that, you are not, you think that this is the way it is. You think that it's normal that I feel anxious, that I'm in a rush, that I'm running out of time, that I don't have enough money, that I don't feel enough, that I need to I need stuff from other people. And this is just the way it is. So I'm just when you're in that tier and you don't recognize that this is a program, that you just work to play harder in the game, and you're just looking at surface level solutions to play this game harder, and generally it leads to like a lot of dissatisfaction in your life. Eventually, people reach a point where they realize this isn't working for me anymore, and they can see the difference between that. This isn't the way the world has to work. That is how you move to tier 2, just realizing that this is people's opinions of how the work should be, how the world should be. This doesn't have to be it for me. So separating yourself from the programs, boom, you're already in tier 2. Tier 2, people are generally looking for other people for answers. They're reading books, they're going to retreats, they're asking coaches. They're basically like, I know something isn't working here, but I don't know what it is, and I'm looking for someone else to give me the answer. During that process, the key part of it is to see all of the invisible rules that you're playing by and rewrite them for yourself. So you're basically recreating the rules of your life.
Yeah.
So you are deconditioning yourself from what you've been told and reconditioning yourself to how you want it to go. In tier 3 is the messy, wobbly process of learning to fully trust yourself.
Yes.
And self-trust is quite misunderstood, because I think if we just surveyed people and it's like, do you trust yourself? Most people would be like, yeah, I do.
No, they don't. Because if you're asking everyone questions, or you're asking Claude questions every 3 seconds,
it's like,
that's another thing.
Did that question about who are you, right? Most people are like I'm a dad, I'm an athlete, I'm working on this business over here. And it's like, if you don't know exactly who you are, it is impossible to trust yourself to be that person. It's impossible. And when we don't do that, it's the easiest way to realize whether you trust yourself or not is whether or not you experience the symptoms of not trusting yourself. Imposter syndrome, second guessing, procrastinating, asking other people what you should do, looking for answers from influencers or coaches or someone else to tell you what's right for you. You know, in a relationship thing, calling 5 of your friends, asking what you should do in this situation. It's like, those are all symptoms of not trusting yourself. The key insight is that a majority of people, like our customers, are a majority athletes, 7 and 9 figure entrepreneurs, high performers, executives, successful people. A majority of people are in tier 1.
Even at those levels of success. And that's what people think. They think just because you're making millions, it's like, or billions in some cases, they think, oh yeah, this person's set. I want to be like that.
This is a high frequency person. It's like,
your life is messy. Like, you could know how to execute. You could know how to execute through others. You could know how to do all of these things and still be broken in your nervous system and your patterns. Because the reason you're doing it is probably to get back at someone or whatever it is, right?
Another part of tier 3 is this recognition that what I believe about myself and how the world works co-creates my life.
Co-create.
That if I think that this time is scary and that AI is chaotic and that I'm scared I'm going to lose my job and I'm not sure I can do it, you're going to see chaos everywhere. If you feel like I'm confident, I can do this, like I'm someone who can navigate this, you're going to see opportunity everywhere. So it's like, it's a clear recognition of what's going on inside of me drives how I experience my life. Tier 4 is a incredibly amazing place for any human to be. Out of our entire customer base at Encoded, 2% have reached tier 4 or above.
Damn.
So it's an incredibly amazing place to be. At that point, you have developed complete emotional sovereignty, meaning nothing around you changes how you feel. You never feel anxiety. You never feel guilty. You never feel imposter syndrome. You never feel any of these cognitively driven negative emotions created from subconscious programs. So your emotional experience is calm, confident all the time. When you're operating at that level of nervous system power, your superpowers come online. Incredible mental clarity, super fast decision making, seeing vision, seeing how things are going to play out in your business, expanding how you're going to view your life, what you can do for others. And it's just like, woof. And other people come up to you. When they are around you, they see more potential in themselves. They have better ideas. They maybe they leave the room and they have the best idea of their life. And so that is the contagiousness of it. And over time, as people are more aware of this, great people will gravitate toward leaders that operate this way because they realize that it improves their life in every area to be around these people. And it's not about how much money you raised or what your 0.1% stock options are worth or things like that. It's about expressing your potential, feeling amazing every day, being around people, doing work that matters, doing it for the right reasons, growing. Those are the things that matter in a corporate environment, and being compensated appropriately and having a lot of upside. And so there's only I think 2 or 3 people in tier 5 or 6 in our entire customer base. So for now, I think 1 to 4 is a great place to put it for most people. And there's a variety of other benefits, but what we're doing over time is through those tiers, and we will correlate this with biometric data. It's guaranteed that this is how it goes. Is that we are increasing the capacity of our nervous system. It's like our muscle getting bigger and stronger. That's all. That's basically what we're doing. But what it is that we see ourselves automatically in a bigger way. We see our potential, what we're capable of, what other people are capable of, how the world works. We're seeing all of that in a more expansive way. It expands the capacity of our nervous system, and we express these amazing human capabilities that are going to be the most valuable in the economy moving forward. They already are. Corporate environments don't recognize them yet because they lag, but it's already very clear that
Yeah.
things like emotional intelligence, decision making, creativity, adaptability, discernment, and mental clarity, that those are
Mhm.
the decision makers of the top 1% performers and leaders in the future versus everybody else.
Yeah, because it's like just having a degree is no longer it. And these kids are finding it out right now. But
Seriously.
I'm like, damn, I'm so happy I graduated back in the days. But the last thing I want to leave everyone with this is like, so I know I read another paper, like research based on Bandura, and he talks about the identity-based motivation because you need a destination, obviously, and you need a believable path. He talks about. So you have your 5 phases in Encoded that kind of go through this. Map, imprint, anchor, stabilize, expand, and they read like that path. So can you walk us through how each phase builds, a route to someone's, you know, current identity to the future self that they will embody if they continue to do the work?
I'd love to. Yeah. The way that this works is similar to if you were an elite athlete trying to win the Olympics or something like that. It's
Mhm.
that you measure where you are, you
Yeah.
define where you want to go, you build a plan for how you're going to get there, and then you execute that plan for 90 days.
Mhm.
And then you come back and you measure again. Where am I? Where did I improve? What happened? Where do I want to
Mhm.
go? How do I tweak the plan? And we do it again. And it
Mhm.
is a never ending process of continuing to expand our capacity and frequency and the results in our life and how we feel and how we show up and everything. So
Yeah.
that's the methodology, right? It's like in personal growth, when you are learning something, it's episodic. It's like I
Yeah.
do this thing, I learn it, and then I'm done. And then maybe like then I'll just live my life, and then I'll need something a little bit later, and I'll go to a course and I'll learn it, and then I'm done.
Mhm.
But it doesn't work that way for athletes. It doesn't work that way in our physical health.
No.
It's like even if we are in top 1% shape, we keep working out.
You gotta continue to do
We
it.
keep
Yep.
doing it because it feeds our progression
Yeah.
and our energy. And we just over time become, I'm someone who works out.
That's right.
So that is when we think about it at a training perspective, that is a core distinction that we're making here, that this is an ongoing activity that continues to improve our life.
Mhm.
Now, this process is the same process that I've used to build my 8-figure company, to have a 1% podcast, to be an international speaker, to be a top 1% athlete, to have the most amazing relationship in my life, to become an author and write books, to
Mhm.
sell my business, to have full autonomy over my time and travel and go whenever I want. Uh, you can use it for anything that you want to accomplish in life. Are you going to snap your fingers and visualize for a day and change your life? No, but this is a process that you can use. And ironically, that any time that you have upgraded your life, you have gone through this process without even realizing it. And most likely, when you have tried to upgrade your life and you have not succeeded or regressed, it's because you did not follow this process. So,
Mhm.
understanding it makes change, upgrading our life, and becoming way more predictable, structured, and simple and smooth.
Yeah.
And so, the first step is what we call mapping. We need to be aware. Where am I? Where do I want to go? And what's actually holding me back? What
Mhm.
is always holding you back is identity, beliefs, and intentions. Always. Let me
Yeah.
enunciate that. So we need to be able to see that is actually what it is. We don't feel ready to start our company yet because we feel like it's not safe. That's why we don't feel ready yet, right? It's not
Mhm.
because we need to go and learn something, or it's because we don't feel like it's safe yet, right? So we realize that. Then the next step is that we need to upgrade our identity and beliefs. We need to upgrade how we view ourselves and the world to match where we want to go. We
Mhm.
use an intentional, repetitive daily process in order to do this. Once we do it for somewhere between 3 and 7 days, we start to believe it a little bit, and it lowers our internal friction. It doesn't feel so hard to go and try that thing, or we don't
Mhm.
feel anxious about doing it. We start to show up differently. Then anchoring is step 3, meaning that we actually start the thing that we want to do. If we want to be an international speaker, maybe we do a webinar and we do our first speech, or we put, if we want to be an entrepreneur, that we get the LLC for our company and we tell our company in 3 months we're going to leave. Like that is an anchoring action. Step 4 is stabilizing, meaning that we are changing it from something that we did once to something that we do automatically. This is the messiest part of the process and where most people fall off, because during this time, challenges occur.
Oh, yeah.
Setbacks happen. Things don't go our way. And when those things happen, it drives our brain to default to the most available neural pathways, and we fall back to who we really are, who we used to be. And so seeing it that way, seeing the challenges and the setbacks as an opportunity to be able to show up in this new elevated version of ourselves, even when things are hard, even when things aren't going our way, that is actually a true driver of change.
Yeah.
Then step 5 is expansion, meaning that we don't have to think about it. We don't need to schedule it. We don't need to try, whether it's rainy, sunny, good, hot, cold, it doesn't matter, that we show up this way automatically. And when we show up that way automatically, then we can do the process again and build something new on it. Now we do post content every day. Now we can go and we can become a top 1% podcast or creator. Now we can go and find the relationship that we really want. Now we can, get more autonomy over our time, empower our team, build our business, and keep going through these cycles over and over again. Now, the conventional wisdom and why most of these fail is that most people tell you to start at step 3. They say, just do something different. Just go and do it and just prove it to yourself that you can do it. And so what happens in that advice is that when you go to do the thing, it feels hard. There's a lot of internal friction. And then you go and do the thing, and it is hard because it conflicts with what you believe about yourself in the world. That is why it feels draining and hard. And so when it does, it is very unlikely to succeed. That is known as willpower. It fails 91% of the time.
Yeah.
And when it fails 91% of the time, it backfires. And it confirms to us, I guess we couldn't do that. I guess we're not that good. I guess we should just stay safe and be stay where we are. And so it's not that action doesn't matter. The point is that action is a very low leverage place to start.
Yes.
And to shift, it's the order is our frequency, new nervous system, higher emotional baseline, then we take action. And when we do that, the enjoyment of the process is way different. Sustainability, the chances of success, all of those things go through the roof. What I'm explaining is not rocket science. But for some reason, nobody's taught us any of these things. Like, I am blown away that whether it was when I was in high school, in college, or when I was my business was doing $10+ million a year, that nobody taught me this, and I had to figure this out for myself.
Wow.
And now that I have discovered it, I'm like, holy cow, like everybody deserves to at least have to consider this as a possibility for their life. And it just feels like such a powerful breakthrough. And so that is the 5-step process that we use. It's called the frequency training cycle, part of our proprietary method. And it is so cool and so powerful.
I love that. Well, guys, I'm going to put everything about Encoded in the show notes, obviously. So he's big on LinkedIn. So if you want to catch him writing, he's there quite a lot. So we'll see him there. He has his podcast. So remind us again of your podcast, your book, and how they can find you on the internet.
Yeah, if you like this episode, I go deep on tons of different topics in my podcast. It's called the We Are Encoded podcast. We spend a lot of time talking about the subconscious programs, nervous system capacity, the process specifically from the perspective of an athlete, an entrepreneur, a high performing executive, things like that. Interested in that? Let me know. You are not on that podcast. You are not going to hear me talk about trauma and healing and that type of stuff. That is not how I look at it. Nobody's broken. Nobody needs fixing. Nobody needs to heal. It's like, no. It's just that there are things inside of you that you haven't trained. There are things that you haven't been able to unlock and understand. Nobody needs to be fixed. But I digress. I post a lot on LinkedIn, and then if you are interested, you can check out Encoded.ai. We just released a new thing with a 90-day program where you can go through and experience this in 90 days, and then decide after that if you want to continue in the program or not.
Awesome. Well, thank you. If you guys like this episode, as I usually ask you, leave a review. All right. Thank you,
Cool.
Chris.
Thank you.
Want more clarity like this? Join the Branded Practice newsletter community. I write about strategy, systems, and brand leadership straight to your inbox. Go to diamondhandsmedia.com to sign up. And if this episode hit, share it with someone still building without a brand. This is the Diamond Hands Podcast. Thanks for listening. Now go lead.